Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Couple of Joes podcast, where not only are we live, but we have picture in picture. So if you go onto YouTube or if you're on Twitch, you can see Grant and I live and in the flesh. No, you can see us digitally, but we're there. Grant, how you doing?
I'm doing great. We got the wonders of technology. This is a miracle among all miracles for our time. I'm excited.
Yes, sir. And honestly, again, always impressed by just how simple that these platforms have made streaming,
Yeah.
because it's just a matter of clicking a couple buttons, getting your setup, and then running through the same thing pretty much. And I feel like these softwares are pretty optimized to not have such a burden on your computer. So that's nice to see. Um, but yeah, man, it's the middle of the week, working
Yeah.
hard or hardly working. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. For me right now, I can't even say hardly working. We got a lot of work right now, but it's us recording midweek as opposed to the weekend because it's gonna be me this weekend working. But that's what we do to get that bread these days.
Get that bread, man. Get that bread.
Yeah. So I've been going purely on fuel of caffeine. I think my diet and like my stomach at any one time is probably 2/3 the volume of caffeine, 1/3 volume of food, maybe air somewhere in there. But it's been a lot of caffeine getting me through right now. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about today, the coffee portion of this show, been so little time since our last review. I haven't even opened the bag for the other bean. So that's going to be 2 weeks from now. Yes, because we're recording this week, but it's next week. Brain's all thrown off. Regardless, I do have a new revelation for all of those that are coffee minded, listening and watching right now. And that is my newfound love of something I never would have thought before, which is oat milk lattes. So let me explain. I am an individual who
Yes, you
goes
are.
and goes and gets some latte, flavor it up with some vanilla or something, get some milk in there, whole milk, of course, be classic. But I accidentally on Sunday, or no, Monday, all the days are blurring. I accidentally on Monday got a oat milk latte because we have to wear masks and we got this plexiglass up in front of all these cashiers everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Said whole milk, and that was translated by the barista as oat milk. That's something I never would have gotten. It was incredibly expensive. It was like an extra dollar. But when I got it, I was like, what is this? I didn't order this. And I was like, yeah, whatever. Took it back to my car, started drinking it. And wow, I got to tell you, it's something that I was pleasantly surprised by, is the best way I'll put it. It was interesting because I got a vanilla flavor shot and the oat milk, but I thought it was just going to be, like whole milk. And typically you can spice things up with the flavor. You have your hazelnut, vanilla are the two most common.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot more types of shots of flavor you can get, but at most coffee shops, most of the standard flavoring is going to be the same. They usually get it from the same company. And it's like if you look at the bar behind it, like you're at a bar, you can see the flavor shots there, and they're
Right.
always the same.
Okay.
So what I'm getting to is that no matter where you go, if you want to get something fun like a latte or a mocha, which is chocolate, you're never really going to escape a core set of flavors unless you truly branched out into something strange and different. Like I got a mint shot about a month or two ago, and it was interesting. And something I have never done before is get oat milk. And what's amazing is that it's not the profile of any of the standard flavors. It was steamed oat milk, and it had a very distinct taste, which was like almost like chocolate, but not. Like I can't
Okay.
really describe it. I never had oat milk before, but I've had almond milk, which is a lot more sugary
Yeah.
tasting, I guess, but it
Yeah,
doesn't
it
have
is.
a yeah. So it's kind of like that profile, but a different flavor, like a nut flavor undertone to it.
Got some nut in it.
That was what was yeah. It's got some nut in it,
Yeah, yeah, a little
and
nut. Yeah.
that's what was steamed, and it made a completely new flavor for a latte, and it was crazy because I've been drinking those for a long time, and I'd never tasted anything like it, and I was immediately taken aback, and I loved it. And I'm not gonna like rate the concept of an oat milk latte, but what I will say is that was Monday, and yesterday I went out to a new coffee shop to try their oat milk latte,
Oh,
and it was
damn,
trash.
dude.
It
It
was
was
trash.
trash?
But the
Oh, shoot.
first one I went back and got again today just to see if it was a fluke, and it was good, just as good as Monday. So we got something going on here, and I'm going to explore
Damn, dude.
the new oat milk underworld here, and I'd like to report back on my findings in a few weeks' time. But I'd encourage anyone, if you like a latte and you want to try something new, get a different type of latte, I'd try an oat milk one. It's different and it's not bad. It's good.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. You really are the Bob Ross of coffee beverages because that was a happy little accident, I feel like.
Mm-hmm. It was.
But
It is. You know what they say about luck, right? Luck only comes to those that put in the work and the effort. So I put in the work for caffeine, man. And then
with
I
a
got
muffled
some good
mask.
nut. Yeah.
So what is oat milk? Do you know? Because I've heard of it
It comes
before.
from it comes from oat. It comes from oat titties.
The titties of the oat.
Yeah, that piece.
Yeah, yeah. Them smaller than almond nipples or bigger than
I
almond
think.
nipples?
I think they're not pepperoni size. No, but no. I have no idea. Actually, I think oat milk and almond milk. I may be wrong. This isn't my forte. This is a coffee podcast, not a nut titty podcast. But
Could be.
it's
It could be, man.
there's too many jokes with this.
As long as it doesn't
But
give me a caffeine buzz and a crash, then this might become the nut titty, the nut titty podcast.
regardless, it is. I think like compressed liquefied like oat and almond juice that has a lot of sugar in it,
Okay,
or and like something for consistency. That's what I think it is. But it's just the plant.
gotcha. Well, because when I think of almond milk, I've had it before, so it's like that silk stuff and it's super smooth. And I think they had almond milk at Center Court back at UC, I believe.
They did. They
And it was
did.
good. I would drink that all the time instead because it was just a little bit richer tasting than even regular chocolate milk. But
Yeah.
like oat milk to me, like when I think of that without tasting it, I imagine the consistency being that of tapioca pudding where it's kind of chunky a little bit. But is it like that at all? Is it
Nah,
no, it's
it was. I watched it like get put in, and I was like, that doesn't look like vanilla. But it looked like it just looked like milk, and maybe it melted in the hot coffee, but there was no discernible texture to it. It was just liquid.
okay. So that's 2 above 5 scores in a row that we got.
Oh, I didn't rate this.
You didn't rate this?
I think yeah, I need to do some more research. I'm gonna compile a list of different oat milks and lattes and see what I can come back with. Overall, I think that if I had to give it a rating, though, I haven't put any thought into it. But like if I had to, I'd say yeah, absolutely above 5. Like the one I got on Monday and today is just delicious. We're talking probably above a 7.5. But I don't feel like I can quite rate it yet because I'd like to get a better idea of what the oat milk latte is supposed to be.
Damn, that's pretty good. But I've heard, I can't remember. I was watching something at some point. It was on YouTube, I believe, and I think they use oat milk in when they make smoothies as well, or maybe milkshakes or something. But
Yeah.
it's used in different applications. There's all kinds of milks out there, and I didn't realize that. So that's interesting.
All kinds of tea.
All kinds of titties to be milked.
Yeah.
That's
my take. That's my update for the week. All jokes aside, I mean, actually really good. Yeah.
Good stuff, man.
Okay. So I'm not done with my soapbox yet because we got one more thing. And that one more thing is I just saw the greatest tweet of all time come across my feed. And it's
Of all
Elon
time.
Elon Musk, my
All right,
guy.
man, let's hear it. I have no idea what you're talking about.
So yeah, you were saying that you had no idea. Elon Musk today tweeted, "The gauntlet has been thrown down. The prophecy will be fulfilled. Model S price changes to $69,420 tonight."
Nice, man. Dude. I'll let you get your comments in, but this guy is I don't know.
I have no comments. Go for it. That's
It,
all. I just have to present the facts that the
he's
Elon Musk price is going to be for the Model S
he's
now
so
69,420.
oh man, he's so cringy. It's like he found one part of the internet and then he just modeled his personality around it, but he was before the internet. So it makes me think like was he before the internet really existed and before his hairline magically reappeared? Did he have the same sense of humor? Because man, the 69 jokes
I
coming
think he might
from
be the father of that.
a man in his 40s, it's funny to me. I don't get it.
Yeah.
It's no wonder
Yeah.
that most of the internet sees him as a god, the screeching
Yeah, he's like
autist.
he's like the classic memer of the interwebs. He's like Keanu Reeves if Keanu Reeves talked about 69s.
Yeah. Oh man. 69. Well, have you ever paid attention to their models? They have the Model S, the Model 3, the Model X, and the Model Y.
Yeah.
So sexy. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It's all part of the plan.
But how does the Cybertruck fit into all that?
I got no idea. The Cybertruck's its own thing. I think it just is what it is, and I'm kind of curious actually, like legitimately, like that was a prototype, obviously displayed earlier this year, and yeah, it was not officially the vehicle, and vehicles change from concept and all, but they're trying to say that was going to be what it was like, along with road legal modifications like
Right.
headlights and well, no, it had headlights. What am I thinking of? Mirrors.
The
It
rear
didn't have any mirrors.
and the rear view or the rear
Yeah,
windshield was too small for like
yeah.
California law or something like that.
So like, I wonder how much it's going to change. Like, is that really like their vision and they're going to stick with it, or is that just the base of what will become a more normal truck? I'm not sure, but I'm interested to see. I don't know how that's going to fit in, but people are already pre-ordering them. So
Yeah, I would say based on upon the pre-orders, there's not going to be too much deviation from what we saw on
yeah.
what was it the Detroit Auto Show last year? It's been almost a year since we talked about this, man. I feel like
Was it last year?
the Cybertruck. Yeah, it's been a while. It
Okay,
might have
time's
been
flying. All right,
in
yeah,
early spring. I think it was before quarantine hit for sure. So
yeah, because
it,
people were at the thing doing things.
yeah, people were in public. I still watch movies now, and every time I see someone in public, doesn't matter if the movie was filmed in the '80s. I go, why aren't they wearing masks?
Got that subconscious telling you things like mask, mask, mask. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but we'll. There was an interesting question posed in the chat here that I want to go to. Hope is asking, "Is the Lakers championship legitimate?" While we're kind of on topical pop culture references.
I think for me personally, yes, legitimate. There will be an asterisk, even if it's not official, that it was played during the 2020 coronavirus pandemic, because what I would like equate it to is I think I might have mentioned this on the podcast before, but like my mom's family being from Oklahoma, a lot of them are Oklahoma State fans, like the Cowboys,
Right.
and they claim a championship that they had in 1945 in football, which they did,
Mm-hmm.
but the common theory or thought is yes, that was during the war though, so most people of fighting age weren't in the U.S. They were fighting. So they did win a championship, but it was during World War II at the very tail end of it, spring of 1945 and all that, or winter still. But regardless, I think that's what this will be is like if you look at the NBA with how well they did with their bubble, you weren't missing people because of COVID or anything, at least I can think of. People obviously, of course, had injury, but that always happens. So it's like the competition on the court was equivalent to what you would see. And yeah, there wasn't a home crowd advantage, but it was still the talent going against the talent. And it wasn't like the game of college football, which has gotten a little bit better now that all the conferences are coming in. But, in college football a month ago, my theory or thought was, yeah, but, teams have a lot of people out with COVID protocols and their conferences not playing. So yes, the on-field product is happening against whatever teams are playing, but ultimately it's not the same level of competition that you would get from a full season, which we're starting to get now. NBA, NHL never really had that. Um, the on ice product for hockey, the on court product for basketball never really took any hit. So I think that it's not something where you can asterisk it and say that this wasn't legitimate. But I also think that in the public conscience, you're going to know that it was the bubble championship. That's my thought. I don't know about you, Justin. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with that because one point that I was going to bring up if you didn't was the talent aspect. Where I think in 1945 you would have saw a lot of your people
Yeah.
who were eligible for the draft, and that would have been athletes go to war.
Yeah.
Whereas we still had the same talent that would be playing in the NBA. There wasn't like a significant loss in talent. There were a few players that broke the bubble or whatever and didn't play. I imagine just some of the news stories in some of the regular season at least that I had heard of, right?
Yeah.
But I think it becomes less. You remove a dimension of professional athletics, which is kind of the fatigue aspect and the longevity. But as far as skills go, I think the most skillful team won under the circumstances, and you can't really take that away because I don't think there's
I agree
enough
with
of an
that.
excuse there. Whereas if it was something like football, where another argument there is with football, you have to have a full team to play against, right? You have to have a defense. You have to be making contact. You have to be playing against others, right? Whereas if you're an NBA player, a lot of the conditioning you can do on your own. Yeah, you're going to miss out on some of it, right? But at least you have the ability to go to the court and practice your fundamentals and everything like that. Whereas in football, you need offensive lineman and defensive lineman. You need a body to go up against in order for you to really kind of get into the impact conditioning that you experience with football. Whereas basketball, there is some impact, but most of the conditioning and most of the simulation, at least from a physical fatigue standpoint, is going to be reproducible in the context of a single individual or maybe a couple individuals if you decide to like quarantine together, which, who knows. LeBron might have been proactive, being the athlete and kind of smart, basketball IQ that he has, that he's like, hey, let's quarantine together. You guys lock down. We'll just practice and we do contact tracing within. I mean, that's how I could see things going. That's pure speculation, but I feel like that's easier to uphold and carry out in basketball than it is, say, football or something like that. So I'm good with counting it. Plus, I think LeBron's first championship that he won was during the players' strike back when he was with the Heat or something. Someone had mentioned that to me. So he didn't even win with a full season his first championship in the first place. So
Yeah, that's true. Good point. Yeah, I think that you're not going to see anyone consider it well, I don't know who may, but I personally don't think I'll say that there's anything illegitimate about it. I think, yeah, good competition. Best team won.
right. Is hockey still going on? Because
Nah, that one ended a couple weeks before the NBA ended. So it's been a little bit now, about half a month. Tampa Bay won the
okay.
Stanley Cup.
All right,
It's kind of
gotcha.
funny because they lost in the first round, got swept by the Columbus Blue Jackets. Let's go Blue Jackets
Yes,
last
sir.
year. And then this year they won the whole thing. And it's so funny how that happened because I was thinking before this season, I don't know, I was getting vibes from when Virginia was the first 16 seed to lose. And then they pulled out the championship next year. I called that in my March Madness bracket the year after, and no one believed it because they had such the horrific loss, historic. No one had ever lost as a 16 seed, and then they won the whole thing.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay is the first team to ever be the first overall seed and get swept in the first round, and then the next year they win the championship. It was weird. I just had this feeling, man. History is like a cycle; it repeats itself.
Yeah. Well, I feel like there's also the aspect of they were so dominant, right? They were so favorited
Yeah,
that they didn't have a chip on their shoulder. They weren't playing with any type of
yeah,
losing. vulnerable spirit, right? With the possibility that they could lose, and they kind of just blew it that way. So that makes sense. Where they have all the talent, right? But they just didn't have the motivation to kind of go out there and compete at the highest level they could.
Yeah.
Or maybe the Blue Jackets are just that good, man. You never
Now
know.
the Blue Jackets are just that good. They're the best team.
I'll throw that out
I
there
can't wait for
for
next year.
softball.
We got a couple big trades. I don't want to dive too into it because it's kind of niche, but we got some big trades. I'm excited. It's gonna be good. Be a good season starting tentatively January 1st. So I'm glad that really we're not missing any year. This season just ended way late, and they're rolling up into a condensed season next year. So it looks like we're not going to actually miss a full season, which is amazing. Like I wouldn't have believed that in March, April. It's just crazy. So yeah, all these the NBA and the NHL especially, the MLB's kind of failed a little bit at it, but these bubbles they got are working.
Yeah. I think the NBA seemed to be the most successful, at least from headlines, because I'm not really following it. But the NFL and the NCAA football, they're the ones that are kind of going with the herd immunity type of approach, it seems like, because
Yeah.
the Gators just tested positive. 21 of their teammates got it, which they just played last week.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because all of a sudden they go from 0 to 21. It's kind of funny how that happens. So I think it'll run its course after there'll be one outbreak at least per team. I feel like in the NFL at this rate that we're going with the amount of delays of games and everything like that. So, but they'll play the full season, so that's good. But yeah, it's interesting. Baseball, as far as that goes, I'm not really sure. I was watching a little bit
They didn't do too great.
Yeah, okay. So I was watching a little
bit. There were.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go for it.
Go ahead.
No, you go for it.
I was just gonna say I was watching something tonight, and I don't know what they were saying about it, but I saw everyone wearing those gaiters and everything, and I don't know how late they are in the playoffs. I was just gonna ask you a question about how things are going in baseball because I don't really pay attention to that, but you had more of a point to bring up, so I'll let you go.
Oh no, I mean, like they're doing all right now, but in like August, there were concerns that they wouldn't be able to finish the season. They were doing so poorly with managing the numbers, but they reined it in.
Damn.
It was mostly just their policy of the different. Well, and it's not comparable directly to the other sports like hockey and NBA. They were so successful, I think, because they only had a limited playoff window. Small number of teams, lock them in, get them through the playoffs. The NCAA, the NFL, and the MLB, you know, they're all of the teams, and they're all going to all of the places. And that was the problem with MLB is everyone thought they were doing terribly because people would say, look at the NHL, the MLB, or the NHL, the NBA, and their numbers for baseball, they're just terrible. Like, this is unacceptable. But then NFL came back and people started to go, wait a second. At least this is what it seemed like based on headlines. People started to go, wait, this is just normal. If you have teams that you're trying to put from 32 different cities to go to other cities in any sort of combination, you're going to have so much variance. It's not like a closed bubble in Orlando or Toronto where you can just keep everyone monitored from a select number of teams and run the course of a playoff series. You've got 32 different rosters going to 32 potential different places every day. And that's a lot harder to keep a total lid on. You can't really, and that shows.
Right, yeah, that's a good point. And I feel like at this point in time, like seeing these outbreaks on these teams, to me it's just I'm numb to out hearing about outbreaks all the time, that it's not a big deal, and it doesn't make me think ill towards the league, which is interesting because I feel like there's a lot of, you know, in my personal life, if someone gets COVID, then it's a little bit more of a freak out. But like there is that aspect where it's a couple of degrees removed and it's entertainment, and you kind of look at it as that, so it's a different world a little bit. And these guys are making like $20 million a year, so there's a little bit less concern about their health and well-being, at least from my standpoint. But I don't know. Hopefully we see a full season. Hopefully everyone stays healthy. but it's just kind of interesting to see how each league handled it differently. But like you said, the NHL seemed to have the best system that they came up with to kind of handle the whole situation.
Yeah. Yep. I agree with one of the points you made there too. It's like I saw that I saw Nick Saban got positive test results back for coronavirus, which is a
Yep.
huge name obviously in college football. And my reaction was like, oh, because I've seen Florida State's head coach get tested positive, and other coaches have gotten tested positive. I can't think of the teams off the top of my head, but all these outbreaks with all these teams, and it's like it's a disease that's endemic in our population now. So it's like, yeah, I went, oh yeah, that makes sense. Somebody had to.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
I like that point, which isn't ideal, but it's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those things. And what's kind of interesting though is actually I'm now like 1 degree removed from someone that I know who has coronavirus. So it's a little scary. Well, not a little. Yeah, it's a little concerning. But what's annoying is though how it kind of came about. I'm not going to give details like who it was and everything, but I can tell a story regardless because it's kind of ridiculous in this case. But there was someone, huh?
Oh, I said I'm tempted to hear. Let's go into this.
Yeah. So I know someone who works for a guy or whatever, and this person got really sick, and they had symptoms, and they were telling me the symptoms. It's like, okay, that sounds like COVID, right? But the person was all out denying it and saying no, and then they went ahead and so that was one of the coworkers of this person. So then the person that I've come in closer contact with called the manager, right, and was like, hey, what's this is going on? Is there any testing that we're gonna have going on, or whatnot? And basically he said, oh, he's got a bladder infection, and he's got vertigo, and he's nauseous from that, which was totally made up. And then eventually this coworker, their kid got sick, or their grandkid got sick. And now it's like, okay, now you have to get tested. So the grandkid, at least since he's a little younger, was like, okay, I'm going to go get tested, as the other guy was putting it off. And he ended up testing positive. So somebody at some point was lying to this person that I know about feeling sick, or about going to the hospital and getting tested, because they were saying, oh yeah, they got tested, but then they ended up not. And this true story came out that it had to get down to someone close to them getting sick for them to actually take responsibility for it. So it just inconvenienced that. So I'm actually kind of quarantining a little bit until I know whether the person that I was in contact with is testing negative. But that's, you have to be showing symptoms. So we have to wait until that person, or I have to wait until that person hits their full 14-day period since being introduced to the person that they knew who has the COVID, which
COVID virus.
Yeah, that's about the most wraparound way of explaining it. But without mentioning names, it's kind of hard to keep track of what I'm saying, because I'm coming up with positions as I kind of go along. But anyway, it's basically there's a situation where someone that I'm close with was in contact with someone with coronavirus, but that person didn't want to admit it because of possibly political reasons, or because they didn't want to look irresponsible or whatever. So they fabricated a story, which is entirely frustrating. And I was very pissed off a couple nights this week. It's like, Jesus, man. Not for my own sake, but for the sake of like, hey, you understand that people you interact with aren't just interacting with you; they're interacting with many other people. So it's
other people,
it's just selfish. It's a stupid decision to kind of keep that from people you've been interacting with. So it's unfortunate and annoying. But hey,
I mean, and I don't know how it is there in Ohio land, but I mean up here it's not any pain at all to get tested. You suspect that you've had anything, you just go and they go whoop, and then that's it, and then you get your results back.
Yeah, it's actually it's a little bit tougher here, because I think Wisconsin's a little bit more. I don't want to make it political, but they're a little bit more blue. I don't know. They're a little bit more liberal in their policies and stuff like that. Whereas Ohio tends to be a little bit more locked down. I'm not sure, but anyway, in Ohio, you have to be showing symptoms. At least the free clinic that this individual went to, they went there, and the clinic basically said, we need you to be showing symptoms in order for us to administer a test, even though there was possible exposure. So it's a little, again, frustrating, because it's like,
Yeah,
hey,
that's a little.
here's an inconvenience, because you want to assume the worst case scenario then, or you have to assume the worst case scenario if you really want to be responsible, and if you're
Yeah.
interacting with any number of people, right, that you could be putting at risk if you don't know, if you're interacting with an at-risk population. So you have to assume the 14 days no interaction with anyone unless they've been exposed as well. But luckily there was other people that were potentially exposed at the same time, so they get to hang out. But it's just one of those situations, man.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, it's getting easier and easier by the day, though. I mean, I'm gonna be traveling for work here in a little bit, and part of the policy is just have to spit on a strip, and then I get a test result back rapid. So that's exciting.
Well, they actually acquired the good stuff, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
times are changing.
There you go. I say, yeah, I'm about having to switch over back to the office here soon. I think in about a month. So we'll see.
So in a month, you're going to be switching over halftime in the office, halftime not.
I'll have work that could actually bring me into the office. It's going to be as needed, but we're getting into with a project that I've been working on. It's getting more into like the testing phases. So it's kind of hard at this point, especially with testing medical devices. There's not too much official testing you can do at your home. You have to go into a lab that's able to record data accurately so that you can use it for qualifying tests and et cetera. So yeah, there's some actual thing where I have to get my hands on parts. I've been working on a project for 12 months, and I haven't I guess it switched up partway through, but I've been working on the same project for 9 months, and I haven't touched physical parts yet. So that's it's not generally a place you want to be.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. Shoot. Yeah, but speaking of kind of, how do you tie this together? How do we transition, or should I just do a grant transition here?
Do a grant transition. I want to hear your best grant transition.
Speaking of, I don't know. I can't do it. I can't get in your mind. I can just say, speaking of something that doesn't really have anything to do with what we were just talking about, here's comments in a YouTube section based on ABC News.
That's about the essence of a grant transition. You said the quiet part out loud.
Yeah, exactly. I picked the theme out.
Yeah.
But I don't know. So just because it's exciting, and also I got the most stressful part of the election out of the way. I've already voted and everything, so it's more of just an observational thing. There's not much I can do. I've done my civil duty, right? So now it's just let's watch back and watch both dumpster fires burn. So I've been looking up, like in the morning, I'll look up Trump tweets to see kind of what's going on there and like laugh at those. And then I'll go to Reddit and kind of look at the liberal side of Reddit and then the conservative side of Reddit, laugh at the mental gymnastics that both sides are performing. And then YouTube has been, as I watched the debates there, YouTube has been recommending more political stuff from maybe like 2012, 2008, the past few elections, 2016. But then one of the videos that got recommended to me is why I'm voting early. So that was the name of the title, and it was ABC News. And I went down in the comments section, and for whatever reason, ABC has like the craziest, wackiest conspiracy theories being thrown out. It's just absolutely ridiculous.
Okay.
So let me find kind of one of the more inflammatory ones. Let's see here. Oh wait, here we go. Republic of China is the only legitimate China. 10th
So they're
October,
going.
happy birthday to real China. Okay, so that's just a bot there. Okay, here we go. Here's a comment. It's super religious because I don't know, for whatever reason, politics are religious inherently. In ABC News comments, but teach children way of the Lord. Don't lie, don't steal, don't kill, no adultery, no sex before marriage, respect mother and father. Remember Sabbath, keep it holy. No idols or graven images. Don't say God's name in vain. Don't covet your neighbor. Don't be jealous of anything. Okay, so yeah, that's the Ten
Just like the
Commandments.
Ten Commandments is in an ABC. Okay.
Yeah, 1 John 2:4. Do you love him? So whenever someone comes and tells me you don't have to follow commandments, even though I told you, he came and told me you do. All I hear is the person is a liar. This person does not love God. The truth is not in this person. This person will not be making it through his gates. Must be baptized. Can be done in own tub. Ask it be done under God's eyes. Children also ones old enough to know right from wrong. 1,455 trumpet, 6 full effect around September 4th, 2020 fires. Now second death, both righteous and wicked. Paris 6 trumpet, lower population. Third of humans will die. The Antichrist. The rapture happening now. The timeline. God said, prove all things. I am that woman from Revelation 12:17. Be part of my offspring. Do you know him? Second death happening now. And it's the locust plague, head by angel of death, Apollon, Revelation 9, first death. The COVID-19, they call it, but nope, it's the rapture. Virus spit out wicked, but takes the righteous.
And that's why someone voted.
I don't know what they were going on about, man, but it was super, super interesting.
I think that's the internet. And what's fascinating about the internet is the culture of different locations. Like you hear about like Tumblr, and back in the Tumblr days, it had its own culture, and a lot of people didn't like it.
Yeah.
A lot of people did, but a lot of people didn't like it. Like the fact that ABC News has its own culture of a comment section is just a fascinatingly strange thing to me. Like humans are the way they are everywhere.
Yeah.
Just whether it's online or in person, you get things just get associated with different modus operandis. It's weird.
Yeah. Well, it was just interesting because you poke around it depends on, so if it's Fox News, a lot of the times it depends if it's kind of a stretch. Same with CNN. Then if a news site that is traditionally one side as opposed to the other, if they make a stretch, then the opposite party's voices will be in the comments, right? So if CNN says something that's a stretch of an attack on conservatives, then conservatives will be in the comments kind of dominating, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if Fox would make a stretch attack on the liberal side, then the liberals would be in there totally taking over the comments, right? But if it's more of a neutral video, for whatever reason, this is when you see the wackadoos come out, like the real crazy ones. Because at least with those other videos, people are making coherent arguments and they're calling out hypocrisy. But in stuff here, it's just like the weirdest type of comments, and people come to say stuff, and like the egregiously racist stuff. So because there's another comment under here, they interviewed an African American man, because I think they were in Atlanta, because I believe this was, or it was Pennsylvania. It was one of the earlier one of the more battleground states for this election cycle, and he was saying like this is the first time he was voting, and someone's just in here quoting him and say, "They say vote don't count, but it do." So he's just speaking with ebonics a little bit, right? I don't know if that's a non-PC thing to say, but he was speaking with more of like urban lingo, right? And then the person's like, couldn't find someone that knows our language. It's like, Jesus Christ. The guy was just saying why he was voting. And you're here like attacking the way he's speaking. It's just, it's so ridiculous.
It's the internet, my friend. It's a horrific place.
Yeah, and then there was another guy in here who was talking about how we need to come together, and how there was a backpacker. He was just hanging out in his front yard, and this backpacker came up and asked if she could camp in his yard for the night, and he goes in saying how hot she was and weird stuff like that. And it's just
what?
that was part of it, but like he ends up saying like this is humanity, like we're meant to connect, but he was like got like real creepy for a couple of paragraphs about this. Just so
What?
weird. And then there's people like typing in Arabic under the in the comments, which is fine. It's just kind of creepy when you see all these like weird cryptic messages in different languages and stuff, like with the Chinese thing, and then saying that it was the only China. I could send you these because I got a lot of democracy is the end game tool needed for the Antichrist, New World Order.
What?
Comment under this: Donald Trump and Joe Biden remind me of Batman and Superman. It's like,
What?
that might be the craziest thing I've ever heard.
Okay.
A lot of calls for the rapture. Jesus Christ is coming soon to rapture his people. Repent and accept him as Lord and Savior.
Got some evangelicalism, yeah. YouTube comments, best place. Gotta reach the what do you call it? The lost introverts on the YouTube comment section that never venture anywhere.
Yeah.
Is that the meme?
Yeah, pretty much.
There's there's this YouTuber that I really like. His name's Penguins, and he has this. Yeah, do you know him?
Moist, yeah.
Yeah, Moist Critical. Yeah, he has this video of the most intense, longest argument on a YouTube comment section ever. It is pretty recent, and I'll send you the video link.
Good.
It's a like a 20 plus minute video of him going through this argument, and it's on a Super Paper Mario whatever theme song on YouTube, like the song.
Yeah.
It is just like the worst of humanity, like that. Like just, like people arguing for a year's worth of real time to each other, like the same people, just absolutely the worst common denominator of human life. that's the vibes I'm getting.
Yeah. Well, okay, so that's one part. And then I also kind of dove down the John McCain rabbit hole because the debate. So I watched the debate. The debate from 2008 popped up, so I watched that, and then I got a bunch of recommended for that. So it was with Trump breaking his silence on John McCain after he passed away. So this is in that comment section. Again, I think ABC News. Everyone in the comments were talking about this, or a large portion, so a good percentage, I'm not going to say everyone, a large percentage of the comments were about how John McCain was executed for treason. He didn't actually die of brain cancer.
What?
John McCain was executed for treason. Roger Brown, 7 upvotes, 2 comments. I'm confused. I watched a senator stat that McCain was executed. John Kasich was interviewed and let it slip that McCain was executed.
What?
On national television. And the games begin. This won't be pretty. If McCain had been court-martialed when he set the USS Forrestal on fire, the idea that he was ever a patriot would be moot. And they were claiming that Biden intentionally, not Biden, sorry, McCain intentionally lit U.S. Navy ships on fire.
What?
Absolutely ridiculous, dude. Just that's the vitriol that was there. And I watched these videos because I went down this McCain rabbit hole, and it's like McCain's a stand-up guy. There was a video from the 2008 one of the town halls that McCain did, and they gave the microphone to this lady. And when I saw this video, I was like, why aren't they wearing masks and everyone's standing together? But she got the microphone, and she goes, I don't want that Obama guy in office. How are you gonna keep him out of there? I don't like him. He's an Arab. And McCain just reaches over and goes yoink and grabs that microphone and is like, listen here. And I was saying this on the podcast yesterday, so this is going to be 2 episodes in a row where where this is mentioned. But it just stood out to me so much because the people who from my observations, what I've seen on like the internet and people going to these rallies and stuff, and I've been to a Trump rally in the past just to kind of observe. These are the people who say this type of stuff that are really hardcore Trump supporters, like the really, really super hardcore ones that no matter what you say he did, even if he's hypocritical on some aspects, they like, no, I like him because he's taking care of these people, right? Because she goes, he's an Arab, and John McCain goes, he is not an Arab. I know the man, and I happen to disagree with him on a few points and over some details, and that's why I'm running. And that was actually, if you look back at the articles, that's part of the reason why a lot of people didn't vote for McCain in that election, was because they saw him as not attacking Obama enough, which is very interesting, right? It's very interesting to me.
Yeah, no, and then she's one of the people that's saying that he was executed on a YouTube comment section a decade plus later.
Yeah.
Cycle of life. We talked about the cycle of life once already.
Yeah, interesting how that goes, man. But YouTube comments are an interesting place, because remember being told when we were growing up, don't believe everything you see on the internet.
Yeah.
Who does? Yeah. Which age group does it seem that believe everything that is on the internet?
People that told us that and older.
Yeah.
It's just like the old adage of, don't get into cars with strangers. That's what we do now with Uber. Don't believe everything you see on the internet. That's what we do now in ABC comment sections when they say that someone they can't believe that. It's so stupid.
Oh shoot! It's like one of the QAnon. I don't know if you've seen this conspiracy theory. Basically, QAnon says that liberal politicians eat babies to stay younger, and they eat aborted fetuses and stuff like that. But what they do is they take stretches, and they say essentially that taking pills or taking medication that uses stem cells is equivalent to eating babies. And so then if you look on like these QAnon boards and these like 4chan boards and everything, because the
I never want to go.
No, neither do I, because I think it's just a very hateful place. It's where some very hateful people go on and just like do things ironically, and then they end up unironically becoming those views that they're ironically posting.
It's the 4chan. I've learned so much from Internet Historian on YouTube that it just scared me into never wanting to go there.
Yeah, but with this QAnon thing, so they use that with like, but as soon as so Regeneron, the drug that Trump used to help fight COVID, that uses stem cells in it. So by QAnon's conspiracy theory, they should be saying that Trump is eating babies, right, or unborn fetuses, and they haven't made any comment about it, which it's ridiculous both sides. But it's interesting to see how kind of like these people take the name out of it, take candidate A or candidate B or belief A versus belief B, but then as soon as belief B, their favorite candidate does the thing that they accuse candidate A of doing, then all of a sudden there's no comment about it, right? And then they do mental gymnastics and they go, that's different. Watch what's his face on YouTube. It's a guy, he's a couple years younger than us. All gas, no brakes. Have you heard of this?
I have not, but I am intrigued. What is this?
Check it out. It's this guy. He goes to these rallies, right? So he'll go to like Black Lives Matter protests when those were all going on. He goes to Trump rallies. He went to, I think, the Smash Mouth concert. He
at
goes
UC?
to like, no, not at UC. The one that was like deemed a super spreader event or whatever. Recently.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He went to there's a border security like symposium that happened. He goes to other political, he just goes to where there's mass events, right? Or he'll go to like a spring break or something like that, and he just interviews people. But he doesn't say anything. He just lets them talk themselves into a hole. He just basically brings a camera and has a microphone and holds it in front of people, and they just say whatever. And he'll go, so you're saying this? And he's not giving an opinion. He's not doing that. He just lets these people show how dumb they are, and they dig themselves into these absolute holes. And that is some of my favorite YouTube to watch, because it's so refreshing, because he's not pushing any kind of belief on anyone, or he's not trying to like entrap them or get a gotcha moment. He's just letting themselves be themselves. And watch the train wreck and watch the fire burn and watch the dumpster fire. And it's really like I've never seen the movie, but you've talked about it before, Idiocracy.
Yeah.
It's just like that. So
Yep.
I would recommend it.
And I'll watch this guy's YouTube. You watch Idiocracy and the Penguins video on hateful comments on YouTube.
Will do, man. Will do. I'll listen to it tomorrow while I'm doing analysis work.
I got some homework to do.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, all right, man. I don't know. Do you have anything else that you wanted to talk about? Kind of do a shorter stream today, or a recording session, I should say.
Got about an hour's worth of time, and that's pretty solid. No, that pretty much covers it. We got through a lot of the internet, and the internet being hateful YouTube comments, people being like just fools, and Elon Musk tweets. That's the holy trinity. So we're good.
That's all there is. That's all you need to know.
Yep. Let's bring the fast, hard-hitting news to the populace. Yeah. No, that's all I got. Anything else from you?
No, I think we're good, man. I feel like in the past 4 days I've done 3 podcasts, so I'm pretty contented out. I feel it makes me curious how streamers can actually go live every single day and still have stuff to talk about.
I think it was Ninja when we were in college. I mean, the pressure of it too, because you got to go live and do content every day. And Ninja took like a vacation for like half a week, and he lost like 50,000 followers in the first half day. It's like, what?
Yeah. Well, it's also his personality kind of sucks. So.
Well, true, but I mean, the fact is he's going up. I agree with that, actually. But I mean, like, the fact is he's going up in views, consistent, and then he just goes off a cliff because people are like, you aren't recording for me today.
Right, yeah.
That's just has to be tough on all these streamers out here doing it every day for like a living.
Yeah, I feel like I would almost imagine that has to do with how fickle his audience would be, just because they're probably super young. And
probably.
Well, we talked about this.
Fortnite, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we kind of talked about this a little bit when you interviewed me and I interviewed you about how like kids do what's popular or whatever.
Yeah.
So if Ninja is not streaming for a day, they probably go to school and talk about that, and they're like, it's not cool anymore. And then the cool kid says, no, I saw this person on Twitch, and then they go, I'll go watch them or something. I don't know.
Yeah. A lot of herds across the U.S. moving like that, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like older audiences, at least me, I'm more consistent with what I watch. Like I've been listening to the same podcasts now for about 3 years, and I just go back to them. Sometimes I'll have hiatuses, but they're like my baseline entertainment that I'll go back to.
I think the same. Like on YouTube, there's a core selection of stuff that produces weekly content that I watch each week, and then just branch off whenever I feel like it.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Like us.
Exactly. Well, hopefully we can build that, because I like this streaming thing, especially as we figure it out more. I'm gonna have to.
Each day, it's more exciting new possibilities because of technology. Exactly. I just have to get an actual setup for my camera, so this will be eventually one day we look back on the first video stream and go, "Wow, what was I doing?" What you do, guys?
Yeah, I had to buy a webcam because my webcam started working. I just needed to do an update on my laptop webcam, and I didn't know that. But I went out and bought a webcam for my interview. So I actually have something that streams 720p. But what I'd like to do is set it up so that it makes it kind of look like we're looking at each other. Because right now I just have us stacked vertically. But if we put each other like on opposite sides, and then we pointed our cameras in a way that makes it look like the angle that we would be facing each other if we were in person, that might just be a matter of the angle that you set your camera up, and then the way that I organize the panels on the stream. But
yeah, I think that could work. It'd be like the Joe Rogan experience. Instead of it being a table in between them, though, on the split screen, it'd be 800 miles. It's perfect.
Yeah. Exactly, man. Exactly. All right, man. Well, if you want to go ahead and take us into closing, I would be down for
Yeah, you
that.
can take us into closing with my like Eminem slash Darth Vader type hood up here. But yeah, sort of break the fourth wall there and get to observe the closing for the first time. Nothing much to it. Just appreciate everybody tuning in on Twitch, listening via Spotify, SoundCloud, wherever you might be tuning in. Appreciate all, welcome all. Thank you for spending some time with us today. And I appreciate it. And Justin does as well, I know. Looking forward to more. Looking forward to getting some good quality video to compare with the actual good quality audio
Yeah.
on my end. But regardless, this was a ton of fun. I love sort of branching out each new time that we get a new podcast, getting some new things. So look forward to keeping that trend going. Stay safe this week, everybody, and enjoy your time. Uh, Talk to you soon. For Justin in Cincinnati, Grant in Madison, signing out.
Goodbye.
That's